on the channel, we got an absolutely perfect unboxing with main event series 153, regular and chase edition, Mr. Perfect.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another WWE main event unboxing and review. And today we got a very fun one with Mr. Perfect main event series 153 regular and chase edition. And of course, for all your Mr. Perfect needs, I had to go to JaysToysAndGames.com. I used discount code Kyle to save myself 15%. Yes, 15% on these guys over at JaysToysAndGames.com. Ringside, I missed the boat. I missed out on these, and forever since then, I was searching for the perfect Mr. Perfects. Finally found them over there at Jay's Toys and Games. So shout out to them having these guys in stock, finally getting that Mr. Perfect anxiety off of me to start 2025. But here we go. We're going to do this review like we do all the other reviews on the channel. We're going to take a look at the packaging. We're going to talk about it. We're going to unbox it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to see where it goes from there. What can you say about Mr. Perfect that hasn't been said by now? Absolutely loved Mr. Perfect as a kid. Of course, a bad guy, a heel as he's known. I love Mr. Perfect from the get-go. And it's funny, I remember Mr. Perfect a lot, but I didn't put two and two together. I was a very small kid at the time, but his time in the AWA, I remember seeing clips and highlights of that on ESPN AWA back in the day. And it's funny, he didn't have the singlet and his hair was a little shorter, so to little Kyle, it was apparently a different person, but then many years later you hear Curt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, and it all kind of glues together. But here we are with two examples of Mr. Perfect in the main event series. Always exciting to get legends in our main event series figures. Even better when we get a chase like this Mr. Perfect here. So this one over here, of course, the teal one is the regular, the black is the chase. We'll go regular first, and we'll dive into the chase one here. But Mr. Perfect looking only like a Mr. Perfect could look. He does got the pointing hand there. I kind of wish he had more hands than just the open hands. Obviously, you do the hands on the hip thing, the kind of entrance pose right there. But I would have liked a fist, maybe a finger, something like that. But of course, the beauty of these main events, the hands are interchangeable with the Ultimates and Elite figures. So if you want, you go grab one of those hands, put it on here, and voila, you got whatever hand you want on Mr. Perfect. I just can't bring myself to do that, but you can if you want to. It's up to you. Choose your own hand adventure, of course. But looking good in the packaging, 153, of course, there's Perfect there, Mr. Perfect. Main event WWE looking good there. On the back, series 153, you got the cross sell down below. You got Rhea Ripley. You got Duke Hudson. Oh, long live Chase U. Of course, we got Jey Uso yeeting all over the place. And I'll see Jey Uso in like a couple of days. We're both at a work convention together. His table's like a little bit farther down from mine. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to yeet him up, I think. So look to that. I'm going to try to get some footage for the channel there on that one. So be interesting hanging out with Mr. Uso. Of course, Cody Rhodes, another good friend of the channel. Shout out to Cody. Forever and always, Cody. Looking good. Tail of the tape, got the blurb, got the glamour shot, got the jibber and the jabber. Let's see what it says about Mr. Perfect. Signature move, the old Perfect Plex, and he is a technician. I would co-sign all of this. I would co-sign all of this on him right here. But we're going to get him out of the package. See you later. Goodbye. Mr. Perfect, plastic prison. Look at that. Very iconic singlets for Mr. Perfect. See you later. Goodbye. You think of the yellow, you think of the blue, you also think of this teal and black attack, and then you think of the all black. Much later in his career is what I think of with black, but always love Mr. Perfect singlets. Always love Mr. Perfect across the board. I've talked about it numerous times on the channel over the years. My biggest disappointment in wrestling history was his time as Curt Hennig in WCW. When he joined the Horsemen, I was always a Horseman guy, and it just fit. It just felt right. He felt like a Horseman, and they joined him up there, and I was like, man, finally, they're going to have some power on that WCW side. It just made sense. And then what did they do? Like a week later, they turned him against the Horsemen. He joined the NWO, and to me, was just always lost in the NWO shuffle. Obviously, he had name value, but he was lost. He could have been a lot bigger as part of the Horsemen than he was as the NWO. And usually I don't get worked up, say, man, what could have been, what could have been. But in an alternate reality, and one of these days, I'm going to find some time and I'm going to write a story. It's going to be a long story, but it's going to be a choose-your-own-adventure story. And it's going to be about Curt Hennig. Will he join the Horsemen or won't he? Choose your own adventure. And we're going to find out what happens when he joins the Horsemen. But still very disappointed. Still gets to me to this day. Just very disappointing time frame. So off my soapbox right there. But of course, I do like this Mr. Perfect. The one thing that's nice about these open hands, you can pretend he's doing the gum spit. And if you were a kid on the playground back in the day and you never did the gum spit, man, were you even a real kid? Are you an alien? Are you some kind of alien life form? You got to do that spit. Everybody does it. Awfully cool move, of course. Mr. Perfect to a T nailed it. I always loved the way he did the towel flip thing to Bobby Heenan and stuff. Just the essence of cool, one Mr. Perfect. And I always shout out Mr. Perfect as well. I do spend a lot of time in Minnesota for work, and I always go, is it New Hope, Minnesota? He is in the funeral? How about the cemetery? The cemetery across the street. I always have meetings at this one grocery store, and across the street, directly across the street, is Mr. Perfect where he's buried, and I always kind of look over there, and I remember Mr. Perfect for a couple of seconds. Every time I'm there, just because it's so close right there. But looking good right here. He's got a very angry, determined face on him here. He's very, like, stumped. Like, somebody really asked him a question. He was like, what? Huh? This is a strange look on his face right here. Got the Mr. Perfect hair, kind of the long, stringy, curly hair going on. Got the singlet we talked about looking very good. The two open hands. Got the two white wrist tapes there. Of course, we got the old black knee pads, and you got the white boots. And they say Mr. P, and I believe that stands for Mr. Peterson because we're such good friends. I'm sure that is the case, or it could stand for Mr. Perfect. Not exactly sure there, but looking very, very nice. And I met Curt Hennig, Mr. Perfect's dad, Larry the Axe Hennig, probably 10 times in my life. And I always enjoyed talking to Larry the Axe Hennig. He was always a very, very nice guy to talk to, just very easy to shoot the breeze with. A giant of a man if there ever was one, and one that you could definitely feel an aura of sadness around him at all times. I've only had that twice in my life where I could feel an aura of sadness. The only other time was Johnny Gosch. You guys ever hear about the kidnapping of Johnny Gosch? One of these days we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about that here on the channel or somewhere else because it happened literally down the street from me. I wasn't quite old enough to be kidnapped yet. I guess you can kidnap anybody, but he was a paperboy that was kidnapped in my neighborhood as a kid. And I'll tell that story one day on the channel probably. But his mom, when I was a kid working at the grocery store, she would shop there. And every time she came through the aisle, I could like feel her presence. And it was a presence of sadness. Basically, I'm saying I'm a medium. I think that's what I am. I think I'm going to start conjuring up spirits and communicating with spirits, I think is what I'm going to do. But for whatever reason, I could always feel her presence. And it was like a wave of sadness would roll over me for some reason. And why are you getting there? Why are you talking about this? Well, only other time I've ever felt that aura of sadness in my presence was with Larry the Axe Hennig at the Hall of Fame up in Waterloo, Iowa. Shout out to them up there. Just after Curt died, he was never the same. And they always say that, his son died, he was never the same. And it's true in those examples. They never got over it, and you could just feel it in the essence in the air. It was a wild thing, and I don't know where I'm going with this, but shout out to Larry the Axe Hennig. Shout out to Mr. Perfect, of course, Series 153. But now let's dive in, of course, over here to the Chase Edition. Yes, it's the Chase is on. And we're coming up the backstretch right here with Mr. Perfect in the black singlet. And as I said earlier, I think of this more later day Curt Hennig. Maybe you don't, but I definitely do. I almost think of this as NWO Curt Hennig. Even I don't think that's what it's supposed to represent right here. But that's what you could easily fudge that in. You put an NWO shirt on him, and then you're off to the races, of course. Same packaging, though, as this one. That's usually how they go. We know that. And you can usually tell because he does got the teal there. So if you see one like this one in black, you know this is the Chase. That pretty much goes for almost every single main event figure for the most part. Tail of the tape blurb, everything is the same. Don't need to read through that again. You already saw it. Talked about yeeting all over the place. We talked about all that. See you later, goodbye. And oh, Mr. Perfect, I take it all back. That's what I'm going to do on this one. See you later. He does got the orange on the back, the orange and black attack. He's ready for Halloween. This would not be NWO Mr. Perfect because he was all black in NWO. But I guess you put an NWO shirt on here. He is officially NWO. But I guess this must have been probably one of the more rare singlets he wore. And now that I see this orange, this peachish color, I definitely remember this. Didn't he wear this at a SummerSlam along the way? I don't know. It all gets fuzzy after a while, but I definitely remember seeing this one now. This is definitely WWF time frame Mr. Perfect right here. But very, very cool. Obviously, the only difference is you got the same boots, same knees, same sculpt, same hands, same head. It's just the singlet painted differently. All black here with the peachish kind of orange on the back is what it is. And of course, he's going to fit on a ringside collectible stand. I guess did I walk through articulation? You guys would just kill me if I didn't show the articulation, right? Arms all the way around, very, very tight. Single jointed elbow, side to side at the elbow, Super 7 style. Hands back and forth, side to side. Removable if you want them to be. Head removable if you want it to be. You got the waist articulation. Leg goes up, leg goes out. Oh, very tight in the leg department here. Oh my gosh, across the board. There we go. Got that going. But you got the single jointed knee, very tight there. Boot cut, back and forth, side to side. And that is it as far as articulation goes. As we know, these main events figures very, very tight in the joints. And he does fit on a Mattel ringside collectible stand, as we said. So Mr. Perfect times 2, always great to get a legend. We just recently got him part of the Monday Night Wars set, probably at your Walmart store shortly. I got to think those are going to be hitting a little bit bigger degree very soon. So you might be on the lookout for one of those. If you're there for the old West Texas Rednecks and NWO version, now you got 2 WWF versions to go with that one. So things coming up, Mr. Perfect. Would love to see an Ultimate Mr. Perfect in the future. I think it would be perfect for the Target Legends Ultimates. Hope to see that. I could see that possibly maybe in the blue singlet as the Ultimate. We haven't got that one in a long time since back in the Elite line. Or maybe another yellow one. We just recently got it in the Legends line. But this is the old school basic Mr. Perfect. Was this the Heritage Edition? Something like that way back when. But we've had a main event and basic, of course, back in the past here. But it's always fun to get a Mr. Perfect figure. Give me all the Curt Hennings. Just give me an Ultimate next. That's what I want to see. That's what I hope for. But what do you hope to see from Mr. Perfect Curt Hennig in the future? Any other looks you would like to see? Let me know in the comments down below. It'd be cool to get that full-on West Texas Rednecks one where he's wearing the blue jeans and the big gloves. I would love to see that as well. Get me the West Texas Rednecks box set. I want all of them. Give them all. Give me Bobby Duncombe Jr. ASAP. Maybe not, but I'm here for anything like that. I'm here for any of the legends. You guys know that, but let me know what you're for in the comments down below. Of course, you made it this far. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to this YouTube channel and my other YouTube channel. We got videos every single day. Don't forget to, of course, check out the Patreon for early access to videos like this, bonus content, exclusive content, giveaways, Q&As, you name it. It's all over there on the old Patreon channel. Appreciate the support over there. Check out ProWrestlingTees.com, search Kyle Peterson. Check out my book, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and now on Kindle. It is the complete guide to the Jakks Class Superstar series with a little Mr. Perfect action in there as well. SirPaul64 on the X, the _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, Instagram, and TikTok. So for Mr. Perfect, I am Kyle. See you guys all real soon.